Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Anna, a digital artist, and today I'm going to be showing you how to start your own digital painting. This video is going to be a series of tips on how to get started with your own digital painting, and I'm really excited to show you guys this painting of aelin and rowan that I did from the book series Throne of Glass. I love these two characters, and if you're a Sarah J Maas fan, you definitely know who I'm talking about. So in the end, this is going to be a finalized painting, so I hope you guys stick around to see it. So I'm just going to start talking a little bit about what I'm doing right now. First, before you even think about starting a painting, you should most definitely do a thumbnail and research. So I really wanted to paint the final scene from Throne of Glass where Rowan and aelin, they are dancing together. I'm not going to give any more spoilers, okay? But they are dancing together, so I researched a lot of paintings and reference pictures for these types of movement because I really wanted a very light and fiery painting, so there was a lot of lighting difficulties in this painting that I needed research on, so please do your research. But the first step in general would be the base sketch. And what you're actually supposed to be doing here is thinking about the overall structure of the painting, so how the hands are going to look, how the feet are going to look, and take your time doing it. Like as I showed in the video, fixing mistakes early on. You gotta fix it right now. Don't think that only because of the sketching phase it's not important. The sketching phase is literally planning your whole painting. So even though it doesn't need to be like the super detailed sketch where you zoom in into the eye, no, you just gotta look at it and see if it makes sense, if the proportions are right, if you zoom out, if you zoom in, if it's the storytelling is what you want. These types of things are important. And if there are any really major mistakes that you're not catching, you need to see them on the sketching phase. So already think about how you're gonna plan the outfit. In this pose there was a lot of movement, so I really needed to think about how the dress was going to throw and how the hands were going to be together. Here I'm already thinking about the background, so don't think that only because the characters are the focal point you shouldn't plan out the background, especially for perspective. This background was really hard because I wanted a window and the perspective of the floor, so I was just kind of playing with the lines of the perspective, nothing really hard, but you're really supposed to be already thinking about that in the sketching phase and see if it makes sense. So right now, as you can see, I'm really going to try to zoom in, not a lot, like never really zoom in the final sketch, but just enough. So I'm going to zoom in and really go in more in depth with the sketch, so trying to define the facial structures, trying to define how his hair is going to look, always thinking about the connection between the characters because this is really important in this painting in specific. The focus is going to be their faces, so I really needed to be emotional, and I'm just thinking about everything, but as you can see it's not really that detailed. It's just kind of a base structure, so I can start painting and not have as much of a hard time as I would if I have just left my base sketch. I'm still really just going in it right now for the detailing sketch, and I have a bunch of references in my other screen, so don't think that I'm sketching out of my imagination. I'm not. I have a reference for the light, the faces, and the body, so I'm really just looking at it and trying to analyze how I want, for example, the hair to look, how I want it to throw. But again, I'm not zooming in and going in it for lock to lock. And as you can see, I take out the layer and I check how it looks underneath. don't do your sketch in the same layer as your base sketch. Always check if you're in the right layer so you can really just go for it and don't worry about messing it up on the second layer. Something I didn't talk about in the beginning was the thumbnail phase. I actually did not thumbnail for this painting because I already had a very clear idea of how I wanted the light to look. But if you're a digital artist and you do more of scenery and character background paintings, you know how thumbnailing is so important. So please go check out a video about thumbnailing if you're not sure what it is. And for me, thumbnailing is important to plan out the composition of the characters to see if it's going to work before you actually go in and paint it. And it's important to see how the light works. Not that composition and light, they can't work together. They are obviously unseparated things of a painting, but you're really supposed to be thinking about where this light is going to come from so you can focus on which element of your painting is going to be your focal point. So for example, in this painting, my focal point is definitely the faces. So I'm not going to make a composition where there is like a lot of light coming from a window and their faces and hair are really bright. I'm going to think about kind of a darker scenery behind their faces because both these characters have really light tones. So aelin, she has a really fair skin and she is blonde, so I can't really work with deep shadows of her character. It's better for me if I think about a darker background to give her more focus. Rowan is light-skinned too, actually a bit more on a kind of brown to light skin tone, but his hair is actually silver, so there was no way that I would really get with darkening all his features. So just be mindful of thumbnailing beforehand. Right now I'm going in for the base colors and I wrote organizing layers because it's really important for you to take the time to actually go in and paint in the characters so you don't get lost. I used to not separate layers before and I would just paint everything, probably just separate, I don't know, the character and the background. But I learned that it's really important for you to make separate layers. Even if you're more of a messy painter like me, you're going to save yourself hours of work and fixing mistakes by separating the elements of the painting in layers. So as you can see, I separated her skin, her hair, and her feet, and her dress. And then I'm going to do the same thing with rowan. And I know it's boring, I know it's kind of just manual work going in with like a random color. Like I wasn't even worried about the color I was choosing right now. I was just thinking about the elements of the character and how I was going to separate them. Here I'm starting to get worried about the colors, so I'm just thinking about how these things were going to work. And in the book scene, both of them had black clothes and silver and gold details on the clothing, so I had to be mindful of that. Here I'm already starting the background, so it's important to see that I have a lot of reference in my second screen, so I'm not just painting from my head. I'm actually making, it's more, I would say, more of a study right now than anything. Like I knew I wanted candle lights and a window, so that's what I have right now. And I know most people, they plan out a sketch for the background, they work with the perspective, but I was going to kind of blur this background, so I wasn't really worried about all the details of the background. I was more worried about getting like this painterly feel to it, as you can see, and I was just trying to choose the right colors that would match with the characters' appearances. And honestly, just sit back, relax, and go for it. Your background doesn't need to be completely detailed. I know that a lot of people are scared of backgrounds, and that's fine because they are hard, especially for us that paint more character scenes and stuff. We like to focus on the faces and the scenes. We don't really want to focus on the background, you know. But it's really important for you to put the storytelling with the character, and a really great way to do that is focus on a really good background. And please challenge yourself. Like, I never had painted this dancing place kind of castle-ish thing, you know, but I just got some pictures, I chose a color palette, and I went for it, you know. After making a really zoomed out kind of planning, I got a new layer and I went more zoomed in. Again, not completely zoomed in because this background is not really a focal point, so it doesn't really need to be that detailed, and I could probably lose my idea of proportion if I zoomed in too much. But I just wanted to add a little bit more of detail to make the things that I planned look more like the things they are. For example, this curtain thing, like it looks better right now, and there are leaves below the window, so it doesn't look like leaves right now, so I would probably have to detail that. And again, it doesn't need to be super detailed, super complicated. Do what you can do, but push yourself, because you're never going to paint a super crazy splash art background if you don't try different things, if you don't challenge yourself. And honestly, it will just make your painting experience richer if you just keep going and trying and planning. Like, I knew I wanted a dance room, but I didn't even know what type of dance room I wanted. I just knew where I wanted the light to come from. So I gave myself the opportunity to be super creative and try something new. So like, don't be afraid, even if it looks bad. Like, this perspective here, it doesn't exist. Like, where is the perspective right now? So just remember that even though my painting might look good or bad to you, it's still me trying to challenge myself, and that is worth something, you know. And there are obviously strengths and weaknesses to this painting, and I still learned a lot. I don't think my perspective is really good, as I said, but the colors that I chose really made the painting better, you know. Like, you're going to see in the end, you haven't seen the finished painting yet, but again, trust the process. If your background is looking really bad, like structure wise, think about the colors. The colors are always the most important thing, in my opinion. If you get the right colors, it's going to look like a candle. Like, I didn't even draw the white candle thing there, but you know it's a candle, you know. Anyways, I'm finally back to the characters and the fun part, and right now I'm going to start putting the base colors. And this is a really important step that can make or break your painting. The base colors, they really show what you're trying to paint. Like, I'm thinking about how to shade blonde hair and making it look like it has depth, but still making it look like it's blonde hair. And I'm trying to show like the diverse lights of the skin tones, you know, because she is a fair-skinned character, but honestly, painting white skin is so boring for me, and it's just, honestly, in my opinion, overrated. And I really like saturated colors, so I'm just adding everything I can, because I feel like with darker skin tones, they reflect so much light, and it's so beautiful to paint these paintings because the colors that you can choose, they can be as saturated as you want. But then with fair-skinned people and more like basically lighter skin, they don't reflect as much light and they can become more pale. And honestly, it's actually a challenge for me to paint pale characters because I tend to overuse color variation. But honestly, that's what I was thinking. Even in the dress isn't a skin tone, and honestly it's supposed to be black and it doesn't look black because I am addicted to color variation and I can't just pick one color, you know? Like most people would just make like a lighter brown and black, but no, I had to add this greenish kind of tone. And honestly, for me it looks good, but it might not read as a black dress, and that is a problem because I'm trying to be accurate with the characters and the storytelling, so I need to look into that. But for example, with Rowan's skin, he has a little bit of a darker skin, so I struggled so much with the saturation, you know, because I didn't want to make his like color variation like really pinkish, but then the red wasn't really working as well. So I struggled a bit, and I hate to paint silver hair so much. It's just, honestly, I don't know what to do here. Like, he just looks like an old guy, honestly. And like in the end it looks nice, like I fixed it, but honestly silver hair for me, it's just not doing it. Anyways guys, that's it. I think I rambled a bit too much in this video, but I hope by watching the process it helped you too. And stay tuned for the second part because it's how to render your paintings, and I know a lot of people have doubts on it. Love you so much, bye!